To start this off a little bit differently, but I guess it's okay because you got some poo-poo on you. Book. Yeah, I know that's a book. You gotta go take a bath, dude. Yeah! All right, go take a bath. Come on. That's Dylan Cruz. Bye-bye, baby Joel. Ben. Yeah, Ben, out. Nevertheless, we are live. Got lots that we got to get into here tonight. Miles suing LSU. We'll get to that first. Obviously, we'll probably go on a little rant to that. What do I think? I mean, he's suing LSU. So it's not like it's not a big deal. So we'll talk about that here tonight. We'll go into recruiting, football and baseball, and one recruit that's in a little bit of mixture of both. But we'll talk a lot about baseball here as Jay Johnson continues on his path of getting some really good guys that you're going to see on the mound this upcoming season. Do they need to go get some more bats? Football, you had a big weekend in recruiting, so we'll get to that. Oh, by the way, it's Monday. It is Monday, so that means Carter Bryant is going to be joining us live here about 7:35 Central Standard Time. So in about, exactly 30 minutes. So we'll get to him. And I want to preface the show out just by saying that you're not going to agree with me here tonight. You're not going to agree because I've seen a lot of different things. Oh, Les Miles is only suing for money. No, it's not what he's suing for. What he's suing for is to get his 37 vacated wins back. Now, he may be trying to get a little bit of money. Okay, that's fine. Well, he took 37 wins away from him. Now, we're going to talk about the on-field. We're going to talk about the off of the field. And I think people need to get a realistic view and a bigger overview of Les. We're probably not going to agree tonight on a lot of things. I will prepare you. I will give you my opinion on the truth or things that we know for a fact, which will be a big deal. We'll talk about that here tonight. So, yeah. Oh, LSU should sue Les Miles for the offense he ran. Cute. Probably. But it's not cute to me, really. Like, I look at that as, well, I saw Ole Miss fans doing it a lot today. Okay. Yeah, you had Matt Luke. Like, everything that you of real relevance didn't become before Kiffin, so you feel like you can talk now. So there are a couple of things that just are driving me crazy in this. Do I think he's got a case? 1,000% I do. Talked to my good buddy Ryan over at the Drake Williams Law Firm. He somewhat agreed on that Les does have a case. So we'll talk about it, break it all down, go from there. Let's get to a couple comments. Carlton Landry says, hell no, man didn't know when to call a timeout. So I feel like this show's going to have a lot of those comments in it tonight. He still won a national title. He's still the most accomplished head coach that you have. We got to another national title. Oh, wait. Is that Mac Brown that I'm discussing? We'll get into it. Because I do think when you look at things from a whole, it is what it is, man. Now, it does not stop, which I'm sure a lot of us are going to talk, or what we're going to talk about a lot is legitimately what Les did off the field. But there's some issues with that. Because, yes, this school, which really and truthfully, it kind of can stay out of drama. It's just the same drama continues to manifest itself. Every single time that you continue to turn over the rock, and you know what it starts. Everybody in the media knows what it starts. It's just another freaking thing that goes on down, and we got to continue. Oh, well, they still got the black cloud over them with this Les thing. What black cloud? It's not going to stop Jay Johnson from winning. It's not going to stop Brian Kelly from winning or losing. It's not going to stop Kim Mulkey from winning or losing. It's just not. It's just not. Ryan with a $2 super chat says, will the suit help LSU get those wins back? No, I mean, he's suing LSU to get the wins back. So, because they are the ones that vacated them. See, I think there are some things that, like legitimately that can happen. Like a lot of you in here have said to disband the vacated wins. Well, LSU vacated the wins because of a level 1 violation so that they didn't get a harsher penalty from the NCAA. Like that was part of their punishment, is to vacate those wins because they were in trouble of the Sharon Lewis stuff, of the Ed Orgeron, Stephen Sullivan stuff, the Darius Geis stuff. Oh, and by the way, other sports that things were getting covered up, allegedly. Les didn't do all that. Now, what did come out is Sharon Lewis and others saying that Les had relationships with students. Okay, we'll get to that. I promise you. I'm telling you, man, we're not going to agree. So argue me in the chat and maybe we'll pull your comment up in that as well. It's not all we got to talk about. Let's get to it though, because we don't have any time to waste. Let's get rolling. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share if you're on Facebook. Share to all your social media pages. Share to all those Facebook groups as well. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell. Wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Tons to discuss. Recruiting, Les Miles, tons to get into. We do that next. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events, with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah. We're back.
All right. Let's get rolling. I'm sure, let me start that back over. I'm sure by now you have seen the news that former LSU head coach Les Miles is suing LSU in reference to 37 vacated wins that were taken away from him from LSU and the NCAA after the Vidal Alexander case. You remember that, obviously, with the Our Lady of the Lake and all that went down. We got lots to talk about because Les Miles wants to sue LSU in reference to that to get his wins back so that he can be eligible for the Hall of Fame, even though he did do pretty shitty at Kansas. Now, it was tough on him at Kansas, but nevertheless, he still went to Kansas. What do we make of it? There are a couple of things here that I want to stress and that I kind of want to start off with. Before I go on my tangent, I wanted to be very, very well known that I am not saying that any of these allegations are wrong. I am not saying that any of these allegations versus Les have necessarily come to be proven. We don't know if they've come to be proven. And if they have, by whom? When? Where? Why? What happened? Because we do not have legitimate concrete evidence from Les or about Les with the students. We have a report. By the way, it was also in Sharon Lewis's report when she sued LSU for $100 million. See, what's interesting is people forget so quickly about the Sharon Lewis investigation. You and I talked about that at freaking nauseum. Sometimes we talk about it 2 or 3 times in a night or in a week, excuse me. And it was exhausting because new things continued to appear. You forget that that was a part of that as well. The Sharon Lewis case in its entirety, the federal court, the state court called it baseless and unfounded, any allegations that she came forth with. So we're talking about Les and the Sharon Lewis thing, which, by the way, did help assist him getting fired at Kansas. So all of that being out there, one of the biggest allegations that Les has off of the field is the Sharon Lewis case. Now, let's stop right there. I want to make it very well known. There are parts of me that believe that Les did do some of these things that he's alleged in doing. And by no means am I saying that none of it's true. Because what I'm about to say, you're not going to agree with. Les drove us nuts on the field. Completely drove us nuts. Toss dive offensively, saying that he would innovate. He doesn't. Today I posted a clip about Columbus Day. A lot of Italians don't necessarily. I mean, if you watch The Sopranos, Italians might have a different opinion about Christopher Columbus. So, long story short, he was quirky. He was weird. He did some dumb, innovative things and some innovative, dumb things. Some of them paid off. The Demetrius Byrd in the back of the end zone versus Auburn with 2 seconds left, or the fake field goals against Florida. There are so many different things that were quirky and weird about an LSU game that to some pageantry you loved. Now, at the end of his tenure, not getting past the 50-yard line against Alabama, all of that is true. I thought that Les needed to go at the end because his time had ran its course. But if we're being dead-ass honest, let's not act like the national championship didn't happen. Let's not act like, I know that you didn't get past the 50 against Alabama. He went to another multiple SEC championship games, multi-time SEC champion. By the way, split with Bama 1-1 in 2011. It is what it is. It doesn't matter. But when USC did something like that, they tried to take LSU's 2003. You remember. All I'm going to say here is the God's honest truth, the way that I see it. Let's go off the field first. Guys, twice now, Les Miles had, or his name or documents about Les Miles or alleged things about Les Miles has come to a federal court system. The first time was when LSU got in trouble, if you remember, with the Our Lady of the Lake Vidal Alexander incident, which then John Paul Funes was arrested and served federal time for. In that, it was when they did that, they tried to see if Les Miles had any known provable knowledge that he had any connection or correction with John Paul Funes and the payments to Vidal Alexander family or himself, even though it was the dad. But regardless, let's just talk about it being Vidal for all mistaken purposes. The bottom line was you have Sharon Lewis that tried it. You have the Our Lady of the Lake or situation with John Paul Funes was arrested for. Both tried to go after Les to some extent. It was unfounded. Sharon Lewis's was called baseless and unfounded, had to pay LSU's attorneys back. Oh, and by the way, when it's all said and done, so was John Paul Funes. So we can talk about the Sharon Lewis, the Title IX, all of that stuff. At this exact moment, no one has given proven court case, anything, to my knowledge, which I looked a lot for today. A lot of these things are technically alleged. Now, LSU, in and of itself, got in a little bit of trouble, and there was a investigation of lack of institutional control because of Will Wade. Remember that for later in the show. Because of the Will Wade stuff, then you had the John Paul Funes stuff. LSU makes redemption to Our Lady of the Lake, giving over $260 million to the hospital, which is 200 times bigger than what John Paul Funes took, by the way. But they made it right. So when the NCAA wanted their pound of flesh in the football and basketball investigation, LSU said, well, you know what? We'll just vacate those wins, all the games that the kid played in, and we'll be done with it. We got a level 1 violation for a coach that's not even here anymore. Okay. I hear a lot of you in this chat and a lot of people that are in media who talk about disbandment of the NCAA. Disbandment of the NCAA. Yet the NCAA accepted the penalty that LSU gave down on of the vacated wins as a part of penalty. Well, you cannot say that you want to disband the NCAA and then yet come back and say that they have any authoritative control over what happened. So, which makes this more of an LSU decision, right? Like, okay, well, what does LSU do here? I do think that Les has a case, but LSU's got to be the one to overturn it. The bottom line is vacated wins are dumb. The history still happened. Are we going to live in the world where, hey, there were some bad things that happened in history? World War II is a bad thing that's happening in history. Look around our world right now. Bad shit's going on. But we always remember history through its lens and through its facts. Les Miles still won those football games as the head coach of LSU. So what's the real truth in it? If Les did have those vacated wins, but he didn't have all of the off-the-field bullshit, would it be fine? Would it be fine? Is the off-the-field stuff that would keep him off for? Now, some of you are going to say, no, Blake, it's about the football. The football is the reason why I don't think that he's a Hall of Famer. Okay, well, that's fair. Guys, Mack Brown is in the Hall of Fame. Mack Brown is in the Hall of Fame. But you know who else is in the Hall of Fame? Who has off-the-field issues and a lot of wins at a school? Joe Paterno. So what is the qualification of what somebody needs to get in on? Now, if Matt continues to coach, he's going to go below that 60% mark. So are you going to take him out then? Les did a lot of really good things here, which a lot of people forget. He won a national in 2007, regardless of them being a 2-loss team. He got back to 1-11. He had some bad seasons. He had some very bad seasons. Guys, I'm not going to relive why we had to fire the guy. We all lived it. I think we need to get past all of that. But the bottom line does become, guys, I can make a very strong argument that he's the best head football coach from a specific area. Stay with me. Don't miss this key point. He is the most accomplished. Nobody at LSU has done more than Les. Nick took it to a place that it needed to be. Nick didn't get to 2 national titles. Nick doesn't have the wins at LSU here. Again, hear the word that I said, accomplished. Don't say he's the best. Nick Saban clearly was the best coach that we've ever had here. He is the most accomplished. Without question, there is no debating that. He had some bad shit with him. Didn't innovate offensively. We've lived that. The real truth is about what happened off the field. Some of it, obviously, with Vidal Alexander, sure. He got popped with a level 1 violation. But here's where I go to you LSU fans and say this. Let's play a quick segment. It's called Name That Coach. Which LSU coach am I thinking of that has been fired from LSU, has been fired or had wins vacated, or fired, but has had wins vacated because of multiple level 1 recruiting violations? At the end of your tenure, you couldn't beat Alabama, meaning here. And in the last season of your tenure, people were complaining about how bad you were offensively, and you didn't know if we were one of them. You didn't know if they could innovate, if ever. Now, what coach am I thinking about when I say all of that? Well, a lot of you are going to say it's Les Miles. Actually, the coach that I was thinking about was Will Wade. But the bottom line becomes, see some similarities? Give the dude his wins back. You would want it done, a lot of you would want it to be done for Will Wade. Give it back to him. I don't care. He's coaching somewhere else. Like, for example, guys, Rick Pitino got caught by the FBI with blow and hookers. As the head coach of Louisville, they found cocaine and hookers in the dorm room. Couldn't find any proprietary knowledge that he knew about it. So Rick Pitino's still coaching in college. Joe Paterno's still in the Hall of Fame. So there does come a part where I'm asking myself, I think Les is more accomplished than a lot of those dudes, if not on the same track of them, and it's just in his tenure here alone. Now, I'm not reading the comments yet because I know I'm sure a lot of you are busting me up in there. But we got to talk about off the field. And in off the field situations, those alleged things still happen with him. The Title IX thing still happened under him. Some of the Darius Geis thing that LSU was actually some of it charged with, but not less. Like nobody was really hit on the Darius Geis thing. So LSU kind of technically goes under the radar on a Title IX situation of bad email chains and all that kind of stuff. Didn't get really popped. So neither did Les. But the things with the alleged things with him and girls on campus are a big deal. If Les did have relations with students, I got to be a little honest. If you're going to leave Joe Paul in there, that's a little bit different. The Sharon Lewis shit you can't hit him with. If you really want to get him down to recruiting, if you're going to hit him with the Vidal Alexander shit, NIL. Because all of you have had the same thing in defending Will Wade about, well, Will Wade got popped for this shit by the NCAA, but NIL is legal now. Same shit you could say with Les. Then if Les is having inappropriate relations with women, if that's what you're talking about, another coach did that too in Orgeron. The tenure and ending behind Les ended horribly. So with that and everything that came with Ed rebuilding it and getting to 2019 and all of it, it was built off the back of the hatred for Les. You can hate him all the live long day. That's fine. But deep down in your soul, you know that he was accomplished here. There are different clear criteria. Corky and all of his ways and all that shit. I'm scared to hit the comments, guys. I'm going to be honest. scared to hit the comments. Just being honest. Because we get a $20 super here chat here by someone named Freak. Stabbing cabin less, but he didn't win games. At some point, you're going to have to prove his know-abouts. There's some part of me that says, hey, LSU got popped with the level 1 violation. So in reference to him being a Hall of Fame coach, stabbing or Freak, I appreciate the super chat. That's why I said in the open, I'm not condoning any of this. All I am saying is, guys, his name's been brought up in 2 federal investigations where things have gone unfounded. This isn't state court. This is a federal court system. A federal court system. So I look at all of this and just say to myself, like, at some point you're going to have to prove it to me. Because if you're going to have Paterno in that hoe, no. All right. Cody McGee says, don't forget about what Jim Tressel did at Ohio State, and he is in the Hall of Fame. Put it in Scott Woodward's hands, best AD we had. I appreciate the super chat. I don't think Scott's going to go down without a fight. So what is my thoughts about what's actually going to happen? Here's what I hope happens. Give him the freaking wins back and be over with it. What's the NCAA going to really do? Vacated wins? Vacated wins. Like, this is what we're going to do. Like, what we're going to do is continue to fight down this shit. At some point, can somebody just be man enough? By the way, I don't know if he's getting in. PR-wise, there's no way you can put in Les Miles from a PR perspective. It's just no way. Because of all the shit that people think that they know about him and the entire LSU situation. Guys, you know and I know that the national media doesn't know everything that went on here because they don't follow it like you and I do. But you and I both know that there's much more shit that's been going on besides his vacated wins. Toss dive that hoe, his vacated wins back. I thought people were, it's funny. People were trying to be cute. Oh, well, Ole Miss fans. Some bot account that's an Ole Miss fan came out there and said that LSU should sue Les Miles for his offense. No shit. You've been irrelevant for 2 fucking decades until Lane got there. Shut up. You've been irrelevant. We got to a Cotton Bowl. We sure you did. God bless your heart. God bless your ever-living heart. This is interesting. Billy Cannon went to prison, etc. I think it's only fitting to bring this comment up. I only run toss dive. Give me my wins back. All right. Carter Bryant's joining us in 3 minutes. Let's run through some baseball and some football recruiting very quickly. So LSU baseball had some very big commitments this weekend. Let's run through them. And some just really big recruiting in general this week. On Friday, LSU got a commitment from Mount St. Mary right-handed pitcher Devin Sheeran, 109 Ks, 70 innings pitch. It was the guy that we were tweeting about all weekend. The kid that went in against Mississippi State, throwing 98, had a really vicious slider. From Mount St. Mary, what did they do? Throw the whole bucket of holy water on him? Now, Father Hebert, who's in this show very religiously, went to Mount St. Mary. And he said a kid coming from Mount St. Mary blows his mind, but I'm quoting here, God bless it. Or God bless. Yes, God did bless this kid because he's coming out of nowhere throwing 98. What's he going to do in the offseason at LSU? Look, guys, an arm that is electric. Okay? Like, there aren't many dudes that throw 98. Now, did he have some walk issues? Did he have given up some run issues? Yes, he did. He did. Can't deny it. Did he strike out a lot of people? Yeah. Does he have vicious stuff? Yeah. Does he have really good coaches at LSU? Yeah. Wasn't getting that at Mount St. Mary. So Devin Sheeran is in. The other guy that committed on Saturday is Indiana State right-handed pitcher Luke Hayden. And I know that it's funny because a lot of people are like, hey, is LSU just becoming Indiana State of the South? And the interesting thing here is very simple. Yes, but both of those guys are draft eligible, Luis Hernandez and Luke Hayden. Went 7-2 last year, a 3.81 ERA, 91 strikeouts and 78 innings pitched. I saw people complaining, put the walks. Look it up. If you're going to be in the news business, you got to help break news. But, laziness. Nevertheless, Luke Hayden, okay, is a guy that is a draft risk. Do I know he's going to go? I have no idea. Do I think could I see him at LSU? Yeah. Could I see him going in the draft? Yes. Draft risk. If he does come to LSU, which is what we need to talk about, just another very solid arm that's proven. Indiana State, guys, is not a slouched program. You got in Zach Cohen. You're bringing in these two arms. Guys, I got to admit, as much as a lot of you have complained about Nate Yeske, when you're bringing in this many talented arms, the truth is that he's a big part of those conversations. So if you want to be real, if you're going to brag about the arms that they're bringing in and not put Yeske in that fold, ruh-roh. I mean, the guy's got to be doing something because he's on those visits and he's there. But the biggest news, arguably today, came from the news of somebody not going into the draft from the high school ranks, that being Derek Curiel from California, the big-time outfielder. So at one point, Curiel was considered the number one recruit in the 2024 class. The kid's power didn't really manifest the way that some had thought. They dropped him down. He was still a top 10 prospect. It is what it is. Guys, he's a top 10 prospect in the country that's not going into the draft. A top 120 kid, which also, yes, was Cruz, but a top 120 kid that could have gone in the draft is coming to LSU. I think that that's the biggest news of the day because the kid can really play. I did have somebody give me a really good comp of maybe right-handed hitting at times. Antoine Duplantis. Kid hits from the left side too. So I just look at the entire situation and say to myself, the kid can play. The kid is 6'2", 175, going to put on weight. It's a big deal, man, when you get that kind of kid here. So LSU getting 3 big-time real commitments this weekend and today, it's a big deal. Brady Neal hit the portal. Told you, if you watched last Wednesday and Thursday shows, you're on the forum. I saw all the LSU media saying, hey, surprise, Brady Neal hit. Not if you've been on AYSSnetwork.com/forum from past Wednesday on. Just saying. Shows you're not really plugged in, nor that you care. Football, I'm going to do this because we got to get to Carter Bryant. Football, I'm going to punt. You got to go to the message board. AYSSnetwork.com/forum. 3 Ben's picks were in there today. 3 picks were in there today by us. Just saying. All right. Let's get to it. Let's get to our good buddy Carter. We're back next. Stay with us. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements.
By the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Whether you've been injured in an accident, you're preparing for a future with your estate planning, you're getting ready to close in on a real estate deal, or you're about to welcome a new addition through adoption into your family, or you're facing criminal charges, you need very experienced attorneys, and that is what the Drake Williams Law Firm will be able to do for you in navigating the legal system. The door to their cozy office in historic downtown Ponchatoula has been open since 1981. They have helped thousands and thousands of Louisiana families and individuals win cases, close on real estate deals, and regain that peace of mind. Their lawyers over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, are very determined, compassionate, and dedicated to their craft. It's the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
Carter, the Power Bryant. Good evening, good sir.
Woo.
How are you?
Not good. I tried to really push a 3-mile run before I jumped on here, and I regret it. Like literally pedal to the metal, and the insides of my body feels like an erupting volcano full of electric eels. Like it is absolutely brutal. But Blake, I am excited. Got to spend a fun weekend in Gonzales, Louisiana this past weekend, and now I'm here with you, man.
Carter, I have no idea what we'll talk about tonight because there's nothing LSU related in the news. Obviously, sarcasm. But Les Miles is suing LSU. Let's get to it. What do you think?
Yeah, it's time to come to the realization that Les Miles was not a great football coach at LSU. And I understand that sounds like revisionist history because he's suing the school that I love so much and graduated from and all of that. But Blake, you've known me for a long time. If you are a process, because you hear all these coaches talk about this all the time, Blake, process over results. You hear Brian Kelly talk about it. You hear the great Nick Saban talk about it. If you are a process-oriented thinker, you could see through that Les Miles was an okay coach at LSU. All right. He did what a lot of coaches would have been able to do with the Ferrari that Nick Saban left him. And there were more mistakes that he made than good decisions that he made as the head coach of the LSU Tiger football team. And there's a lot of things that you can point to that show strong evidence towards that. And we were so caught up in the time, well, he's got all these great 10-win seasons. Sure. Fine. If we want to put an arbitrary number out for what is a good season and what is not a good season, sure. But LSU was expected to win 10 games for a lot of the Les Miles tenure. He never had a 10-win season when Leonard Fournette was with the team, the greatest running back to ever play at LSU. So, with all of this aside, Blake, I don't even know if these wins were vacated, if he should be in the College Football Hall of Fame, especially over the likes of someone like Mike Leach, who definitely deserves to be in there. So, Les will always be a big part of LSU history, but suing the university over something this crazy is absolutely asinine, especially considering some of the nefarious things he was accused of.
All right, so me and you about to debate our asses off.
That's
all right,
fine.
you ready? All right. I don't agree with it.
Okay, which part?
All right, let's get to the because you kind of hit it in 4 tiers. Let's go with the first tier. Let's go on the field. He's the most accomplished head coach that LSU has ever had.
Okay, keep going.
It's not remotely close. He sustained what Nick built, yes, but he sustained it and continued to put it out. What we do is, Carter, I feel we look at the last half so much of his tenure at LSU, we completely miss the front of it. And I don't think it's fair. Let me ask you a question. What's college head coach alive now or not lost or won a national championship in the 2006-2007 era, and then lost another one to Alabama. It would be Les Miles and Mac Brown, who Mac Brown is in the Hall of Fame. Joe Paterno's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Joe Paterno is one of the best coaches of all time. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get to the alleged stuff that he did.
Well,
not even alleged. So I look at Les and say he's one. You can't talk about our late 2000s and 2010s without Les Miles. You just can't. You can't talk about so I don't agree that if you're just talking on the field, do I think the end of his tenure was very bad? Yeah, it's why he got fired. Like, I mean, everybody has the same complaint. He won a national title and he went to another one and he's got 3 SEC championships?
Okay. So yeah. So you're talking about the luckiest, most miracle national championship of all
Brian
time.
Kelly hadn't done what he's done in 2 years. Just calling it like it is.
Yeah, and Les Miles did that in year 3. So we'll see what Brian Kelly could do in year 3.
Fair, but he also wasn't. In fairness, I hear people say Les was inherited a Ferrari. Carter, they were 8-4 the year before.
Yeah, but he had Jamarcus Russell, Dwayne Bowe, an embarrassment of ridiculous players. Keep in mind, Blake, 2007 was an all-out miracle for them to win a national championship. A pure miracle.
Does it matter?
Yes, it does, because there are a lot of different teams that would have won a national championship that season instead of 2007 LSU, right? You take a look at and look, the 2007 team is my favorite team of all time because I was a freshman and I knew some of the players on the team and so on and so on and so on. But Blake, it was a miracle. There was 2 games that year that they dominated, and it was the first 2 games of the season. They were winning 10-9 at halftime versus Tulane. I mean, this was a team that won it all, absolutely.
Let's not act like Nick wasn't down 10-0 to the Charleston Southern either at halftime the year that they won a national championship either.
Yeah, but there was also tons of other dominant results that team had, and they ended up blowing the brakes out of them by midway through the second quarter. I mean, look, I'm not saying Les Miles is a bad coach. He was a fine coach who loved running, toss, dive into oblivion.
Punch him in the mouth, baby. Let's go.
Right. And that strategy would rarely work offensively. And look, I give Les a lot of credit as being a good recruiter. And overall, his players did individually develop really, really, really well. But game plans were terrible. The clock management mistakes are aplenty. And on top of all of this, Blake, there are a ton of coaches I feel that would have been able to accomplish what he would have accomplished at LSU. So I tend to think he is a more replaceable coach than we would like to give him credit for. And I felt there were plenty of times when he just got absolutely, positively, brutally outcoached. I mean, he got blown out twice, 2 years in a row by a Brett Bielema Arkansas team. So, I mean, the truth is, if you actually look at the results, he is truly overrated just as a football coach.
What's he properly rated then? What do people rate him as?
I think he's a good coach, but we are talking about.
Is anybody saying that he's a great coach?
You are. If you're saying we're talking about the college football Hall of Fame.
The realistic nature of you saying there are a lot of other coaches that could have done that. Let's get to the reality. Reality is, the real world is, he did it. So we could play hypotheticals. We're not getting in the Hall of Fame off of a hypothetical. We're getting in the Hall of Fame in reference to what actually happened. Now, in another universe, Skip Bertman gets off his ass and welcomes back Saban, and we got 72 of these bitches. Okay, but the problem is, the realistic thing is that on the field he did that, and you cannot, like, I get that the 11 shit was very bad. You can't defend that. But he got back there again. You talked about him recruiting. Okay, so he's Dabo.
Right. No.
So,
One thing I do agree with you on is 2011 was the year that he got unbelievably unlucky, and that is one of the best teams of all time. So while the 2007 team, in the grand scheme of things, is more than likely vastly overrated, the 11 team is vastly underrated because they did get unfreaking believably unlucky. And I will always defend Les Miles. Yes, the game plan was bad. Yes, there are a lot of former players that speak ill of him now that played for him because of the game plan. And I understand that, we talk to players on that team. It is very sour whenever you bring up 1-9-12. And obviously you're close with some of those players as well. I will always defend Les outside of the Alabama game. He coached that team absolutely beautifully. But everything else, Blake, was just pure luck to a certain degree. I mean, look.
But again, though, we can call it luck. We can call it voodoo. We can say Jesus Christ Almighty did all of that. That is fine. But Carter, the problem is it happened.
Yes. So my question to you is, if you had an LSU football team with the 2014 recruiting class, with all the amazing players that were on that team, then you bring in the 2015 recruiting class that also featured an absolutely ridiculous hit rate. A lot of the elite players in that class, Dante Jackson, freaking Darius Geis, were superstars. A lot of the 2014 elite guys were superstars, Jamal Adams and Leonard Fournette. And you were to tell me from 2014 to 2016 that they did not have, because everyone points at Les Miles, all these consecutive 10-win seasons. He didn't have a single 10-win season in any of those 3 years. Now, I know one of those games versus McNeese got canceled, and they would have been 10-3 that year. But still, it was just something that I would have never envisioned. I never would have thought that period of LSU football would underachieve as badly as they did.
One season, you can't really put it all on him because he got to 4 games. The second one, like you mentioned, okay, yes, McNeese there was a thunderstorm and the game wasn't played.
So he would have gotten to 10.
So he would have gotten to 10. I don't think that's fair to him to discredit that. But there comes a part to me where I agree with you on 14. I agree with what everybody is saying. But you cannot take everything else out. Even worse, I mean, telling Jordan Jefferson to spike it's the worst thing that he could have done. The quirkiness, the grass eating. But it comes a time, though, Carter, and that error from let's just say 2007 to 2016, Carter, he was one of the 2 biggest talked about coaches of the sport.
Yeah. And
so you're going to take a 10-year span where a guy got to 2 national titles. By the way, lost to the best coach of all time. Nothing wrong in all of that. Would you keep Dabo out? Like, I'm not saying he's a first ballot Hall of Fame head coach. Now, we're going to talk about the off-the-field stuff in a minute. But there's got to be something that if you're going to give me Mac Brown, if you're talking about on the field, you're going to have to give me less.
Okay, so you truly think Les Miles is on Dabo Swinney's level?
No, I think Dabo's ahead of him because he won multiple national titles. But
I think they're not even in the same conversation.
No,
okay.
That's fair. But
I would never. Yeah.
Are we going to act like the last 4 years of Dabo haven't happened? They're very Les Miles-ish, are they not?
Yes. The difference, though, is Dabo started that damn thing at Clemson, right? He started that. He was.
I would give you all of that, okay? And I'm not comparing the two. Just so before we get down the rabbit hole, I'm not comparing the two. But let's not act like that. There has not been really good head coaches that at the end of their tenure have been ass. Bear Bryant.
So let me ask you this: how would you grade Les Miles at Kansas?
I think it's tough because he's got COVID that comes into the mix of that. He's taken over a program that historically has been horrendous.
Absolutely.
Carter, 70. I looked this up because Joe DeLeon brought this up too. Do you know that like last year's Kansas team had 70% Les Miles dudes on that team?
Yeah, and Les didn't win with them.
Well, I mean, a couple of years, yeah, but nothing that discredits the 4-18 at Kansas doesn't make me believe that he's not. Carter, he's more accomplished than Mike Leach. And accomplishments, when you're talking about
no, that's not.
Carter, he won a national title. He got back to another one. It doesn't matter that one is at LSU and one's at Washington State.
Frederick Theodore Casino. Do you really believe someone is going to win a national championship at Texas Tech or Mississippi State?
But Carter, but the reality of it is, it doesn't matter.
It does though. It
doesn't, because you can't.
If winning a national championship is all that matters, then Gene Chizik is better than Mike Leach.
Carter, we just established that he will have legitimately had, and what were the 12 years he was here? It's well over half, and you would have given him an 8th one if he had the McNeese game. Like, we realized that he averaged 11 wins a season without the vacates. Like, we understand this. So you're talking about a decade's worth of 11 wins and say, oh, well, Mike Leach should be in. Cool, I agree with you there too, that he should be in. But we cannot act like a decade didn't happen, good and bad.
Exactly. But we are talking about, all right, taking, once again, all the off the field stuff out. We were talking about we're talking about the College Football Hall of Fame. Is Les Miles one of the best college football coaches of all time? The answer to that is a resounding no. He is not. And it's just that simple for me. At Oklahoma State, was he good at Oklahoma State? Yeah, he was good. He was good enough for Skip Bertman to hire him. He wasn't amazing. I will tell you this, Oklahoma State is very happy that Les Miles was out, and they're truly
That's not fair to Les either. That's not fair to Les.
You really think Les Miles could do what Mike Gundy has done the past couple of years?
They got to a New Year's Six bowl and then he leaves.
Yes. And guess what? Mike Gundy
act like Les didn't rebuild it either. I mean, Gundy was on the staff.
But it's not even close. It's like Mike Gundy is a far better coach than Les Miles. Far better. Not even close. Not even close.
So accomplishments don't matter.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying you have to.
If we're going to talk about the realistic nature of all this before we get to the off the field stuff, okay, the realistic nature is it doesn't matter what happened. For me, it doesn't matter because you can't take away the accomplishment of it. He still recruited Tyrann Mathieu. He still got him there. He still had one of the best defenses of all time. Carter, the truth is, regardless, nobody's come here and sustained what he has sustained. So we can play hypotheticals all we want to. Name a coach that has sustained great or good seasons here and had a couple of really great ones. Nobody.
I will tell you this, Blake. I will tell you this. I think you are overrating this man and underrating the brand and the talent that has rolled through LSU year after year after year.
Very true.
And the fact of the matter is, since Les Miles has been here, there is another coach who, after winning a national championship, like Les Miles, could barely get a job anywhere, hasn't gotten a job anywhere, and he also won a national championship here at LSU. It's happened twice since Nick Saban is here.
Correct.
That tells you everything you need to know about
he dominated for a decade. He has 10 wins. If Ed Orgeron was getting 10 wins, he would still be here.
Right. But Ed Orgeron's regression ended. He fell off the deep end.
Okay.
Personally, that had more to do with his incompetence than anything. Cool. I give Les Miles a lot of credit for not falling off the deep end as fast as Ed Orgeron did. Whoop-de-doo.
Let's get to another point because this includes off the field, which we need to get there too. I'll just preface this by saying I know it's been a whole Les Miles conversation. Okay,
no, that's fine. I will.
We'll get to some other things here. I promise. The thing with off the field with him, okay, I can't. Carter, I know of 2 federal cases that they have not been able to link him. Okay, in the Sharon Lewis case, which everybody forgets about, that Les was a part of the lawsuit in, and Carter, the John Paul Funes, which the wins are actually vacated for, it was found in federal court that he had no direct knowledge that they could prove that he had about it. Did he know it? That's fine. They couldn't prove it in open federal court. LSU couldn't either. So I come to the part and ask you, is any of what Les Miles did that we know to be proven, not alleged, proven, are we legitimately going to look at Joe Paul being in the Hall of Fame and not give Les a pass?
Yeah, so now this gets into morality. Now, I will tell you this. Joe Paterno was a better football coach than Les Miles.
Completely agree. But the morality part of it is worse than anything that's ever happened ever.
So this is where it gets into like a slippery slope. And I've heard like Peter King talk about this as a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. What do you do about Darren Sharper? What are they going to do when Antonio Brown's Hall of Fame candidacy comes up? Because obviously no one likes Antonio Brown for a myriad of reasons.
Even though Tom Brady cheated more than Antonio Brown, but
cheated in terms of deflating footballs or
I mean, he literally went into a roast and said that he deflated the bitches.
Yeah. So look, I just don't know. Like I've not really looked into this stuff, and Blake, obviously you have a legal background, so I defer to you on a lot of this. Look, all I will say, and this is one part that I've always found to be so interesting, is the report said Joe Oliva thought about going in a different direction because of these allegations. What was it, in 2012 or 2013? So I think
it was 2013 that they first came to light, because those wins are like 2014, 2015 vacated.
Yeah. So I will defend Les for and I always will defend Les for the Children's Hospital money thing. And that it's always going to be joked about, but we all know what truly happened.
NIL, Carter.
Right.
I mean, you can't say free will Wade and then not give the same pass to Les.
Yeah, so that I will always strongly defend, even though I look like a screaming homer. All this other stuff, I really, really, really don't know. I do find it interesting that a lot of these Sharon Lewis lawsuits, Blake's, have been dead ends. I mean, just I would have thought, something would have stuck by now, and maybe there is something. I don't know. I mean,
after everything that she alleged.
Yes. It's rare that like nothing has really come of that. This is how I feel about Hall of Fames in general. I feel like you do have to separate morality from the Hall of Fame for this reason. It gets into a slippery slope. It gets into an unfreaking believable slippery slope. There are, and I won't bring up names, I really won't, but one of my favorite players of all time.
O.J. Simpson.
Okay, not OJ. Not the juice. But one of my favorite football players of the past 30 years, and he was a college football legend. He was involved in a very serious off the field thing, and no one ever talks about it.
Is it Ray Lewis?
No one ever talks about it with this person, because he is probably the most universally loved person that's played in the sport, and he's a pretty high profile guy.
Well, who is it?
Well, I'm just not going to bring it up, because he's in the Hall, and there is just a slippery slope that goes along with you saying, well, yeah, you do know that there was that thing. And it's very interesting when you start getting into that. So if you're a Hall of Fame voter and you believe Les Miles deserves to be in the Hall of Fame because of football merit, I believe that you have to put him in. I know that is very controversial. And I know that is very explosive, because we all have strong opinions towards people who do really evil things. The thing,
and I'm not saying he didn't. He might have. I don't know.
Right. And there are classic examples of this in all forms of entertainment, right? You play an R. Kelly song at an event, people are gonna be like, well, "Why are you playing R. Kelly?" Okay, let me play some Michael Jackson. It's okay. MJ's okay. R. Kelly's not. I mean,
you can have kids in your bed, but you can't pee on them.
Dear Lord. It's a slippery slope.
That's the point. That's the point, though.
And Blake is. I have had those complaints before for playing music. Why are you gonna play? Well, you can't play R. Kelly, but why are you playing Michael? Why is one okay and not the other? So if you're a Hall of Fame voter and you believe Les Miles deserves to be in, and he somehow gets the winning percentage thing circumnavigated, if you believe he deserves to be into the Hall of Fame, he should be in. Okay.
All right. Well, let's talk about what the realistic nature. Just very quickly, we don't have to stay long on it because I need to get to another question with you.
Yeah,
Carter, if the Vidal Alexander thing is the reason they vacated wins, when Reggie Bush is getting back his Heisman,
yeah.
I don't. I mean, like there's parts of me that say, man, I don't know if he's not going to get him back. But like I if that is the reason. Right, like if the reason, if you talk about everything else being off the field stuff, all the other shit, if it's about Vidal Alexander and a guy served prison time for it and John Paul Funes, now what? Because Reggie just got his Heisman back. NIL is a thing. Carter, it's literally like a business sponsoring the kid to come here. You know what it is, LSU fans? It's Gordon McKernan.
Yeah, I mean, and one more thing. You make a really good example about the Reggie Bush thing. But Alexander was a good player, not a great player.
I agree. And Carter, by the way, LSU gave back $260 million. They took $183,000 over a 5-year span.
And one more thing. It's like I think one thing that would have really screwed LSU if it, and people forget about this, the Akeem Hicks situation.
Oh God, yes.
Could you imagine him on those great defensive lines? So for those that don't know, that dude was amazing in the NFL in his prime.
Man.
If he would have been able to play, but obviously it didn't work out. And I already know them. I feel bad about the Michael Jackson. That is the one fan base who do not want to get on the wrong. There's going to be a Michael Jackson super fan group that gets a hold of this.
Well, see, Adam's on the R. Kelly one. He says haters want to hate, lovers want to love. I don't even want none of the above. I want to piss on you, R. Kelly.
Wait, that's Chappelle's show, right? In that,
I guess so, but that shit's funny.
I think that's what that's from. Please, Adam.
All right. We've debated 30 plus minutes about Les Miles. I thought it was a really good debate, personally.
Yeah.
Right.
And look, I will tell you this. There are quite a few players that do not like him that played for him. There are a lot of players that love him.
We had Corner. What's Corner? Raw. He's got the podcast Raw Room.
Oh, Jalen Collins.
Yeah, Jalen Collins. Look, man, I'll be honest. I brought Jalen Collins on here, and he spent 30 minutes ripping the shit out of him.
And there's a lot of validity to that.
And look, yeah. I'm not going to speak for the man. Carter, there's a lot of dudes that love him.
Yes. No. I will tell you, the majority of players who actually played for him did like him.
Yep.
There are a lot of players that despise him for 1-9-12. And I get it, totally get it. But I would also say to those players that despise him for 1-9-12 is that out of all the luck that Les Miles had, that is literally so unfreaking believably unlucky. It's like he traded all the ridiculous luck he had for 07 to happen. And then the 11 team, which is truly the second best LSU football team of all time.
Without question.
That team really got screwed. And that was the hardest schedule that any LSU team will probably ever have to play. And they beat everyone by double digits outside of Alabama in Bama in the game of the century. And they just got screwed. If it's Oklahoma State and they call the Brandon Whedon game field goal versus Iowa State good, which it freaking was, we're not having this conversation. Then Les Miles is definitely a two-time
national champion.
Yeah. And the history is very, very, very different. And so on and so on and so on. And I'll also tell you this, Blake. At that time, there were a lot of LSU players that were excited to have the Alabama rematch. And didn't work out. Just
Yeah, it didn't. It did. All right. Anything football related that you're monitoring here? I'll just leave this one open ended before I get you out of here.
No, I'm excited about Carius Kern, Arkansas player coming down to LSU. Last Arkansas offensive lineman that went to LSU was pretty good. Brett Helms, the kid, most underrated. Well, we were talking about the 07 team. He is probably the most underrated LSU offensive lineman maybe ever.
I got a picture of him right here in there. He's in the Helms is in the photo, in the Saban photo.
Oh, you do? Okay, good.
Yeah.
He is. Now, if you want to talk about somebody that's underrated, that dude was
for sure.
very, very underrated for how many high leverage, big time snaps and blitz pickups. And the 07 team, the games were so chaotic, Blake. So unfreaking believably chaotic win probabilities that they came back from and won. It was pure freaking miracles that team won the national championship that year. And it's because they had all these very experienced players, and Les just did not have them ready to play. They just figured out a way to win these games because they were very experienced and they were adults. So, it's a fun Les Miles debate on how great he actually was. And he was good, but I just don't know if I could consider him a Hall of Fame level coach.
You talking about Carius Kern? It's interesting. I'm really intrigued to see about him. He's going to be committing this week. I'd say go to the forum. Carter, are you interested about some of these things? Like, look, man, you don't have a DB committed. I know it's very early. You don't have a defensive line committed. I know it's very early. Thoughts, though?
They do. Antoine is committed, right?
Well, yeah, Antoine's committed, but more than him,
they need a lot more than him.
Yeah, they need a lot more. So, time to get a little nervous, or
not really? I will tell you this, Blake, and I have told all my patrons, all my PHLs. I go live 4 times a week, and I do your show every week, and we go along all the time. I've kind of phased out, and I've always not been the day-to-day recruiting guy. What you do is very impressive. I've kind of phased all that out. Like, I keep up with it some, especially if there's commitments that are about to come, and I still get information and all that stuff. But Blake, with the portal and how everything has changed, it's so much better for your mental health when you're not.
I agree.
I will never.
Last 3 months before this week, everybody's been like, Blake, why haven't you been saying anything? I'm like, buddy, nobody's committed.
Yeah,
what do you want me to do? I'm not going to come out there and post false shit for you just to, you feel better about giving $7 each month. It's just, I'm just going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I think the CJ Wiley thing for me is interesting. Kid that's a legacy. He, obviously takes a visit for a lot of different reasons. But, Carter, you're going head-to-head battle with Georgia for a legacy kid, and you're losing.
And he's a wide receiver, correct?
Yeah, he's a wide receiver. 6'4", 200. His pro football comp, PFF comp I saw that somebody did or something was AJ Green.
I've not watched him.
I haven't either, but that was the comp that a lot have given him.
So top 100 wide receiver from Georgia. The good thing about wide receivers, that's a position I'll never sweat, right? I will always sweat offensive line commits, always. Like, I want every single high school offensive line to commit. If LSU brought in an offensive line commitment class of 8 guys, I would think you would still need one more. Like, I truly believe there's never enough offensive line commitments. Mm-hmm. Wide receiver is something you could work around. Now, CJ Wiley might impress me. I've not the only 2 wide receivers that have really in the 2025 class that I've watched. I watched Jaime French. He's very good, very good.
Agreed.
The only guys though that have blown my skull open is Khalid Lockett and Decorian Moore. Those are only two that I've watched. Could be wrong on that. There's obviously a lot of the services have French higher than Lockett. Most services think Moore is the best. The services have gotten better at, ranking the absolute best wide receivers. So yeah, those would, if we can get one of those two guys, Moore or Lockett, I would be super excited, even though French is probably the one that most people feel most likely, and I think he's pretty good. But yeah, Blake, I'm excited about Francis from New Orleans, and I'm hoping he turns out to be pretty good.
We'll see. I would talk to you about this Angel Reese and WNBA stuff.
Go ahead, do it. Go ahead, do it. Go ahead.
No. What I was going to say is I'm so exhausted by it. I don't even want to talk about it.
I mean, has there been any takes on it? I've not seen it. I'm just kidding. Oh, okay. Everybody, here's my favorite thing about Angel Reese is there is a very brutal honesty with her. Like, it's kind of like Brian Kelly in press conferences. If you listen closely, she'll tell you everything you need to know. Just a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, she said she's fine being the villain. It doesn't bother her being the villain. Like, there's obviously some things that bother her. But she's okay with playing that role because she knows it's good. It's good. The discussions are great. And Caitlin is this do no wrong superstar, and Angel Reese is the one that's always in the mix. And I love that. I do. And I want her to remain unapologetically herself as she moves forward through her career.
All I'm going to say is it is driving some away. Like, I'm so over it. Because you know why I'm over it? Because it's not the versus, like Clark versus Reese is not what I'm turning away from. I'm not turning away from the competition. I'm turning away from the political shit that gets thrown with it.
Yeah, and it's gotten, a lot of people say with political debates, and it's not true, like, well, it's both sides. This is a case where really both sides on the extremes have really made this an unbearable story.
Man.
Yeah, and like the right just turns it into an all-out racial thing, and then there's people that have been with women's basketball for a while saying, well, I saw one who's a PR women's basketball. I saw her tweet out, well, men, you shouldn't comment on this. And I was like, well, what? Really? You're trying to grow the game? The NFL, half the NFL fans are women. Or what is it? I think the last study was like 40% of NFL fans that watch games.
Why are you going to cut out your fan base?
Why? And I know it's extreme, and I know I'm very biased, but the Bill Burr bit tells a lot about the WNBA and its history. But I want the WNBA.
Was that the "No Women, You Let Your Own Selves Down" bit?
Yes, exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, and look, it's horrible. It's exhausting. I think a lot of us are tired of it. And my only hot take that got me in trouble, though, Blake, was I believe both Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark should have been on the Team USA team, but that's a different story for a different day.
I don't even want to go there. I don't even want to go there. Like, I could live my life with. Look, it's not that I don't like the competition. I love the competition. I actually welcome the rivalry. It's just that when I click on something and Matt Liner said suspend her, and then Angel Reese to be suspended, and I'm like, that's so awful. And then every comment under that, it's like, Matt Liner's a racist. I'm like, what? Like, come on, dude. Like, Jesus Christ. All right, my man. We will see you soon. Can't believe that we're talking about Les Miles today. Never would have thought that this was going to happen, but this
it is honestly my favorite topic because I was there for it. I watched it, and I am a process of results guy, and knowing what I saw, knowing how meetings and game plans went under the Les Miles tenure. Look, one thing I'll give him credit for is he did hire damn good defensive coordinators, going from Chavis to Aranda. He did do really good with that. I'll always give him credit for that. But Blake, it's always good, and hopefully we're talking less next week, man.
All right, buddy. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Cheers.
All right, Carter Bryant, always fantastic. All right, what else am I missing? College World Series is on. A&M's winning. Boo! Can y'all believe that people were calling me a Tennessee homer this week? I don't get it. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.